to Would I Lie to You, the show with a fondness for fabulous fibs. On David Mitchell's team tonight, a chef who likes to experiment with food. As do I. Sometimes I put the beans under the toast. It's Heston Blumenthal. And a comedian who's so posh he employs a chauffeur to deliver his punchlines. It's Miles Jupp. And on Lee Mack's team tonight, her uncle is James Fox. Her second cousin is Basil Brush. It's Emilia Fox. And a man who's gone from a long-haired layabout dreaming of becoming a comedian to a long-haired layabout who actually is a comedian, Byrne. And so we begin with round one, Home Truths, where our panellists each read out a statement from the card in front of them. Now, to make things harder, they've never seen the card before. They've got no idea what they'll be faced with, and it's up to the opposing team to sort the fact from the fiction. Miles, you're first up tonight.
After a visit to a school fete, I had to tell my neighbour their cat had been run over, while my own face was painted like a kitten.
Please, team.
Oh, please be true. Please, please. You were at the school fete as what? As a dad, or were you working on the stall doing the face painting or anything? Or were you
there was a sort of shift, so I did help with one of the stalls, but I was also there just as a parent.
What was the stall you were helping on?
Bric-a-brac.
Bric-a-brac?
Bric-a-brac.
How did you find out the cat had been killed?
Because it was killed regrettably close to our house.
What kind of cat was it?
A tabby cat.
And how was it killed, sorry?
Unfortunately, it was a truck that shouldn't have been... it was one of the very... not just a normal-sized lorry, a very, very long lorry that should not really have thought that it could drive around those streets, but was attempting to, and it flattened...
So you actually saw the lorry flatten the cat, and then you had to go and tell the neighbour?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the truth, except for the part about the truck, and that actually you killed this cat.
What was the cat called?
She was called Jenny.
Jenny the cat. Jenny.
What was the owner called? Tiddles? In a horrible name mix-up, they started calling each other by the wrong name.
If you want to find fault with someone's cat naming logic, you've got to have a go at my neighbours.
Well, they're grieving. Let's leave them out of it.
Yeah.
Did you kill their cat?
I didn't.
You say you didn't kill the cat. You might have been partly responsible because you were there dressed as a cat when it happened. It might have been the driver of the truck.
I wasn't dressed as a cat.
Has looked over and gone, size of that cat. Meanwhile, the little cat crossed in the road has gone, is that your mummy? Those two incidents combined, you've killed little Jennifer, to give her full name.
No, just...
Either that or it was a hit aimed for you, and the description given was, looks a bit like a cat.
Did you pick the cat up and take it to the neighbours, or did you just point to the cat and say, that's where your cat is? No.
I didn't pick it up.
What happened when they answered the door? Talk us through that conversation, because that must have been very awkward.
Had you still, at this point, not remembered that your face was painted like that?
No, I didn't realise until after I told them, and then I went home and went, I just had to tell so-and-so.
So they've opened the door. Can you remember anything about the first few words of that conversation?
Well, it was very awkward. I've never had to do that before. So I said...
Meow!
They said hello in a sort of cheery, maybe he's come round for some sort of jolly reason.
Well, no one gave them that impression.
And I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid that I've just seen Jenny get run over.
And they said...
What?
What did they say then? Oh, sorry, you're acting.
They said what?
I thought you were asking me, sorry. I genuinely thought you didn't understand the question, but you were in character, sorry.
Yeah. If we get to a point where you're asking questions I don't understand, something has happened.
The regulars like that
one. And they said, thank you very much for telling us. And then I went back into my house, I live next door, and...
Did you go through the front door or back? When you realised you had your makeup on still at home?
My wife pointed out to me. I came home and I said, this dreadful thing's just happened. And my wife said, you know that you've still got your face painted like a kitten? And I said, oh, no.
Did you and your wife look at each other in shock and just feel terrible, or did you both instantly start laughing?
She laughed immediately.
She's an awful woman, though.
No, you're not. Ignore the Irish man.
You're the best female truck driver in the world. You all right, Miles? You know what that is? Furballs.
So what are you thinking, Lee? Does this have the ring of truth for you?
Emilia, what do we think?
I think it's a total lie.
Do you? Not
Do you?
even an ounce of truth in this?
Not for me. It's going round to the neighbours, and you haven't really actually told us anything about the neighbours. You haven't talked about who it was who answered the door and how you then got to talk to them.
Oh, right, well, Paul answered the door.
Paul. And Paul is married too.
Paul is not married.
Oh, but you did say them. You told them that their cat had died.
Yeah, there are a number of ways in which people cohabit.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe
I
it?
don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
Are we going to say
Say
lie?
lie.
Says lie.
OK. Miles, truth or lie?
Oh, ye of little... It's a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Miles didn't have to tell his neighbour their cat had been run over while his face was painted like a kitten. Ed Byrne, it's your turn.
I once found a steak pie down my trousers.
David's team.
No further questions.
Was it hot or cold?
By the time I found it, it was body temperature. You know, it just air.
From which direction had it reached body temperature? From piping hot downwards or from cold upwards?
I think it had gone from room temperature to my body temperature. I was actually sitting on the tube, and I realised that there was a steak pie in my trousers.
Which line were you on?
Actually, you know, it wasn't the London tube. It was the Glasgow Underground, actually. More specifically.
So you're sitting there.
Yeah.
What time of day is it?
It was morning. I was on my way home, and I felt uncomfortable, and I put my hand down the
So
back
it's
of my...
early morning, you're on way home from some sort of party?
I was a student, and I think that answers all of the questions.
Were you drunk?
I was not drunk at the time, just because I was in Glasgow. No. I wasn't drunk
because
at the
you're
time.
Irish.
Yeah.
That takes the curse off it, right?
I surmise what had happened was I had fallen asleep in someone else's living room, and somebody thought it would be funny to put a steak pie, not just in my trousers, actually in my pants.
It was in your pants?
Yes.
Was it at the front, back,
It was
or
at the
side?
I would say what has happened is I've fallen asleep face down, and it has been shoved down the back.
It was down the
But I
back.
tell you, whoever it was made an effort. They pushed it. It had become...
It was down in the gusset.
Yeah. In fairness, I don't think they were really my friends. I sort of inveigled my way back into somebody's house without really having been invited. You know, there was a group of people going back, and I think I wasn't entirely a welcome addition to the evening.
So you wake up in the flat.
Yes.
You've been asleep face down.
Yes.
So you've not yet felt the effects of the pie.
That's right.
You stand up.
Yes.
You
Still
don't-
not aware of it.
You don't feel that there's something extra.
No. You're talking about a man who's already carrying quite a lot of weight down there.
Right. OK. So it's only added maybe 2-3% of the general wealth of matter.
Yes.
And then you walk, presumably, from this flat to this underground station.
Yeah.
You don't notice on that walk
No.
that there's something
No.
not
And I may
part
well.
of you.
For all I know, at that, I have been shedding pie crust like something from The Great Escape.
Wasn't it smelling? Were you not like walking along constantly going, there's a Greggs everywhere around here?
So then you get on the train. What point do you notice the pie?
You know, it's only a 8-minute journey then to my stop. So at some point there, it's only then while sitting
At
down.
some point. It's not the moment you sat down on a pie.
No, it definitely
That
wasn't.
wasn't the time.
No.
It just you gradually became aware.
Yeah.
I
was
don't
like,
believe that. It was you've got a pie in your pants.
David, even if you don't believe it, you don't need to be angry about it.
I'm trying to break it. What sort of pants were you wearing? If that's not too sexy a question.
I don't want to sound like I'm making things up, but I don't remember exactly what...
Don't remember what pants you found a pie in. That's not a mental image that stayed with you.
Well,
the type of pants from which the pie emerged.
No, because...
I would remember that.
They didn't emerge. I was sitting on the underground, and I went... And I just sort of... I put my hand down and...
Oh, can you imagine the face of the person opposite? Especially on me.
I started eating it, yeah.
So what's he going to say, David? Which way?
I think it's full of plausible detail, such as they didn't want you at the party.
We think it's true that he did have a pie in his pants.
OK, Ed, was it the truth, or were you telling us a lie?
To my eternal shame, it is true.
Yes, I'm afraid that was true. Ed did once find a steak pie down his trousers. Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of David's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to Lee's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Rodney. Miles, what is Rodney to you?
This is Rodney. I was so excited to see him driving my old car that I gave him a cheery honk and he drove into a hedge.
Heston, what is Rodney to you?
This is Rodney. He helped me break the world record for the most sit-ups in 2 minutes.
And finally, David, your relationship with Rodney?
This is Rodney, and he had to retrieve my shoe when a drunk man threw it at the Skittles in a bowling alley.
There we are. So, it's Miles's distracted driver, it's Heston's sit-up supporter, or David's bowling buddy. Lee's team, where would you like to start?
Right, let's start with Heston. Let's start with Heston. This 2-minute sit-up world record, how many did you do?
Was 128.
Whoa. You did more than 1 a second?
Yes. Because I've been looking at this for 2 years before, because I was doing about 3,000 a day.
You were doing 3,000 sit-ups a day.
And that's still not even the weirdest thing he's ever done.
So, can you do a sit-up now for us?
Actually, I can't, because I am having a hip replacement.
Well, I'm not surprised the amount of times you do sit-ups in 2 minutes.
What are you going to do with your old hip? Because I reckon you should make a casserole out of it.
How did Rodney help in a sit-up session?
Well, I needed somebody to spot me.
What does that mean?
It's basically somebody making sure you're doing the correct sit-up and then counting.
So he's like the ref?
Yes.
All right, who would you like to quiz next?
Yeah.
OK, we'll go for Miles.
Could you just remind us of the statement?
Driving along, I was very excited to see my old car, which Rodney was driving, and I gave a cheery honk, and as a result of that, he steered into a hedge.
Did you sell it to him?
No, I sold it to a dealership.
And then he bought it off the dealer?
Yeah.
Where exactly were you?
When he went into the hedge?
Yes.
Cornwall.
You saw your old car.
Yeah.
You don't know the guy driving it.
No.
And you think, let's honk at him because he's driving our old car.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to tell the difference between a cheery honk and a get out of the way, what are you doing, you crazy fool? Oh, that's our old car.
Or have you got a selection of honks? Is there like an aggressive one and one that does, agadoo?
In retrospect, it wasn't well thought through.
No, you're right.
What speed were you going?
Well, we would have been going... It was windy lane, so probably somewhere in the region of 35, 40 miles an hour.
And was he badly injured?
No, he wasn't badly injured, but he wasn't as relaxed about it as he looks now.
So what happened? Did you then get out of the car and...
Well, I felt very guilty. Stopped the car, I got out and I said... and he went, what are you doing? And I said, I'm really sorry that we... the reason I honked was because this used to be our car. You're driving our old car.
At what point did he say, but why have you got a cat's face on?
I know.
How do you behave if you see a man and he's going out with a girl you used to go out with? What?
We're not talking about big numbers here.
Well, whatever her nickname was, we don't care.
OK, what about David's statement?
You'll have to remind us, David.
He had to retrieve my shoe when a drunk man threw it at the Skittles in a bowling alley.
What? OK, well, first of all,
Yes, let's
what
get
were
it on.
you doing in a bowling alley? Second of all, what were you doing in possession of your own shoe in a bowling alley?
And thirdly, they're not called Skittles, they're called pins. But apart from that, so far it's all adding up.
Surely your shoe was behind a counter somewhere.
Well, precisely, it was until just before it was chucked.
Oh, it wasn't the shoe you were wearing, it was the one that was in the bit that you swapped
Because
them.
you
I
were
wasn't
bowling
currently
shoes,
wearing the shoe. When he threw it, I wasn't in it.
Was it your bowling shoe that was thrown, or your own shoe?
My own
Your own
shoe.
shoe.
Who was the guy that threw the shoe?
I think his name was Chris.
And what year was this?
It was the year 2012 AD.
So you were... So who was the guy that threw the shoe?
A friend of a friend.
So what's he done?
I'm getting my shoe.
Right.
We're leaving.
OK.
You know, the bowling expedition is coming to an end. Very sad time.
Yeah.
How did it go about it?
So he's thrown the shoe at the skittle, and...
It wasn't just my shoe.
what did he throw?
There was a group of us,
Yeah.
and we were all leaving at once.
Yes.
And he was part of the group, but he was sort of enjoying himself on a different level.
Yeah.
I'd say there was disagreement in the group as to on what level life should be lived.
Yes.
And he was on the very much the heightened,
I can
tomorrow we
imagine-
may die.
I can imagine you were lobbying other members of the group to join your level of life enjoyment versus
I
his
was
level
already
of life
very
enjoyment.
disappointed by the bowling alley's wine list. But this guy that threw the shoe, he was having a lovely time. Beer had been drunk. And when some of us were trying to get our normal life shoes rather than the magic shoes of bowling.
Do you get up in the morning and call them the normal life shoes? Just down
Yeah, absolutely.
Mummy, the normal life shoes. And the normal life vest.
Yeah. Think again. Today I shall have the skis of exceptional invention. So the shoes are being handed back, and this guy runs past, snatches 3 or 4 shoes.
Well, how many legs have you got?
They're not
the friends, sorry.
They're on the counter at this point.
sorry. I know it's
He
just shoes,
chooses his moment
Yeah,
with the accuracy of a sober man.
Yes.
Runs and he with some sort of Viking shout of glee, chucks them towards what I now realise are pins.
Right.
You haven't said what the occasion was.
It was a stag do.
A stag do for
Wow.
one of your chums.
For a stranger. I was the stripper. No, yes, a friend's stag do.
And how does Rodney come into the story?
He worked at the bowling alley.
Yes.
I think still does.
Yes.
And you can't just wander down. He went and he walked down one of the gutters.
Did he?
And retrieved the shoes.
So did anything else happen on this stag night? Did they do anything to the groom, like tie him to a lamppost, strip him naked, anything like that?
Anyone get a steak pie down their pants?
No, because everyone had been invited.
All right, well, we need an answer. So Lee's team, is Rodney Miles's distracted driver, Heston's sit-up supporter, or David's bowling buddy?
Well, this is difficult, isn't it? Because you would have thought that if Heston would have been that good at sit-ups, I feel I would have known that.
One of the flaws I see in David's story is the idea that there was loads of their shoes were on the counter, and he picked up a load of shoes. Whereas when you're in a bowling alley and you're getting your shoes back, there's one person giving the shoes back.
Well, the flaw, I think, in David's argument is the amount of friends he claims to have.
I don't believe Miles'
I don't believe
story.
Miles.
We don't believe Miles at all.
You wouldn't just
At
honk
all.
at somebody just because they were driving your old car.
No. I
think
thought it
it's
was
Heston.
Heston and
You think
David.
Yeah.
You think it's Heston or David?
Yeah.
You think it's...
I think it's Heston.
So that means that I'm going to take the mean average and say it's Heston and half of David.
So you're saying that it's Heston. OK. Rodney, would you please reveal your true identity?
Hi, I'm Rodney, and I helped Heston break the world record for sit-ups.
Thanks very much, Rodney. Which brings us to our final round, quick-fire lies, and we start with... It's Lee.
Every time I make a cup of tea, I pretend I'm in the World Darts Final and test out my skill at throwing the tea bag in the cup.
David's team.
That's not exactly what you have to do in darts, is it? How far away from the cup do you stand to throw the bag?
I do exactly 4 paces, but large paces. So, Rob, about 6 paces.
And what sort of tea bags do you favour?
Oh, the old David Mitchell chat-up line. The tea bag of preference is...
a pyramid bag?
No.
Or a Frisbee-like Tetley affair?
The little round ones, the round ones. Because, as we all know, if you're going to try and throw a pyramid-shaped tea bag into a cup at 4 paces, well, you're an idiot. We all know that.
What's your success rate?
About 1 in 10. The way I do it is this. So you get 3 tea bags, you take your 4 paces, and then you do a little bit of a, you know, psych yourself up, pretend it's the World Darts Final, give yourself
have a pint of bitter.
Yeah, you know, put on a bit of weight, yeah. Get the tea bag and then give myself a bit of pressure by saying to myself, here he is, Lee Mack. He needs to get 1 tea bag into the cup to become the World Darts Champion. Can he do it?
If you get it in the cup, do you then say 180?
No, because there's only 1, so I just go, 1! But I'd usually end bit, I go, 1 tea! And then I'll throw 3, and then I'll go back and I'll gather the 3, and I'll do it again, and then I'll give myself 1 final throw of 3s.
This sounds remarkable, and
Well,
we're all now picturing it, aren't we?
Yeah.
In our minds. How lovely it would be if we
Yeah, but you don't
had
need-
a
yes,
mug,
well, that's the thing.
and if we had some tea bags, and if the mug, for example, got popped just on the desk there. Why don't you put it
Whoa,
there?
that is far more than 4 paces.
Yeah, you've got to come over here. You come over here.
I tell you what, after this, we're going to forget all this truth and lies stuff. This is a much better game.
Right. So what I do is I go up to the cup like that, and I'll sort of do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I'll often do this. I'll look to my right, might put the kettle on, get it ready, and I'll often look to the left and go, Rob, get out of the kitchen. And I'll go like that. I'll go, Heston, the beans are burning, you were in charge of them. David, put some clothes on. And then I will... The trick is to get... You can't squeeze too hard because you split the bag.
Oh, I know.
The trick is to give the tea bags a little shake, and then you've got to get them compact. I mean, it's a bit disgusting, but a real little trick is if you've got sweaty palms, you'll get a bit more, you know what I mean? A bit more
Oh, yeah, I've got sweaty
purchase.
palms.
Yeah, but I don't want you, because I've got to drink the tea.
Oh, right. You just
And
like
you're not always going to be there for me, are you?
I am.
At least say you're not, David. And then you put it onto your head.
Lee,
yeah?
just say, you've obviously got quite a large kitchen.
Well, no, because now I'm now in the living room.
But you just said the kettle's there.
Yeah, no, I keep the kettle in the living room. I'm old school. Why get up to make a cup of tea? Put it next to your sofa. Not an idiot. Right, and then you do that. You get it on your head like this.
Yeah.
Like that, and then you do that. I'll tell you what, when it hits the cup, it's a lovely noise. Now, at this point at home, I'll be going, because look at this. This is actually turning into an event now. And then I'll go, Lee Mack, he's only got 6 tea bags left to become the world champion. He's going to have to make sure that this one goes in, otherwise Joggy Wilson will be in.
Well, there we are. So what are you going to say then, David?
Well, the thing is, it is difficult now, because whether or not it's true, he's definitely going to do it from now on. As am I. Do you think it's a lie?
I'm not sure.
I think it's true.
Well, I think we're going to say true.
You're going to say it's true. OK, Lee, truth or lie?
It was, in fact, true.
Yes, it's true. Lee does pretend he's in the World Darts Final every time he makes a cup of tea. Next, it's David.
There is something about me that elephants like. Every time I visit a zoo, they thunder towards me and point their trunks in my direction.
Right, please,
When did you first notice elephants finding you so attractive?
I don't think elephants liked me before I hit puberty.
And do you believe that puberty was the triggering thing?
Correlation is not causation.
Oh, another one of your catchphrases. I told you, they don't catch on, David. What's correlation? Get it.
OK. Where were you? When did you first notice it?
I think it was probably at the Cotswold Safari Park.
Right.
I'd recently become a man.
Yes.
Quite an imposing figure striding around the Cotswold Wildlife Park. Still intellectually juvenile.
Yeah.
I was still interested in the animals. And then I was passing the elephant's enclosure and, it swiveled its head towards me. And it was quite alarming. And then it started to move slowly towards me. And then as it moved towards me, its trunk, it straightened. As if in arousal.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever been on safari?
No, I haven't, for obvious reasons.
How many zoological gardens stroke safari parks have you been to and observed this in elephants?
At least 9 or 10 sort of times.
You play you, right? I'll play the elephant. Right. Now, if you'd like to walk towards me and I'll...
No, you've got to spot me. It's not about what I do, it's about... It's exactly like...
Is that how it happens?
Yes.
Wow. There was something about being the elephant then. I believe it to be true. I was... Have you always been with the same people or different people to the safari park? Has it been mixed up enough to know it's you specifically?
Yes. The only person who's always with me is my friend Kevin the bun seller.
So what do you think then, Lee? Do you think that's true, or was he making that all up? What would you say?
I don't believe it at all.
No. There's not even an ounce of truth in it. No. I think we're going to have to say it's a lie.
OK, so you say it's a lie. David, attracting elephants, truth or lie?
Well, it is a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Elephants don't thunder towards David and point their trunks in his direction when he visits the zoo. Well, that noise signals time is up. It's the end of the show, and I can reveal that Lee's team have won by 3 points to 2. But it's not just a team game. My individual liar of the week this week is Miles Jupp. Yes, it's Miles Jupp. He's as honest as the day is long in the Arctic in the middle of the winter. Good night.